I have this opinion that you deal with psychological problems psychologically, you deal with medical problems medically, you deal with mechanical problems mechanically. Like if I go out and my car won't start, I'm not going to go call my therapist. That's not going to get my car running, right?
Correct.
If you've got a psychological issue, you deal with it psychologically. And what you're saying here is in your life, you have endured some things that have created you a lingering pain, that you're hurting inside psychically, that your psychic person, your psychological skin has been burned and you're hurt. And you
Correct.
deal with that pain, that psychological pain. And so you're going to a casino and gambling as a way to deal with the pain. You've been doing this long enough to know that does not work.
Correct.
That's why I don't call my therapist when my car won't start. And gambling's not going to fix your pain. It just doesn't work that way. You have to stay in the category and in the lane. And listen, you've gotten into a habitual pattern and you're subject to what in psychology we call intermittent reinforcement schedule. And that means it's a conditioning schedule where the reward or punishment is not administered every time the desired response is performed. So reinforcement is typically random and it's unpredictable. And what we know scientifically is that is the most difficult behavior to extinguish. Like if you put a mouse in a cage and every time the mouse pushes a bar, it gets a pellet, it'll learn it really quick. But as soon as the pellet stops coming out, the behavior will go away. Unless it comes out sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. Now that mouse will push that bar forever. And that's what gambling is like. The truth is your brain has been affected. Your brain has been affected. The pleasure centers and the pleasure pathways in your brain light up when you're gambling the same way they would if you were taking a drug. And I'll show you, and I want you to look at the dopamine pleasure versus serotonin happiness here. And this gives you an idea of how it affects the brain. When you're talking about dopamine pleasure, there are only 5 receptors. And the neurotransmitter fuels desire and motivation. It's highly addictive, it's short-term, it's visceral. And this is something that too much of it leads to addiction, whereas serotonin happiness, if you look at the graphic, it's all over the brain. It spreads across the brain, touches 3 times as many receptors. It's not addictive, it lasts, it creates contentment, and it inspires giving, like volunteering, all the kind of things that make us social beings that care about one another. Whereas dopamine pleasure is very selfish, very short term. And that's what you're into now. You are into the most difficult to eradicate reinforcement schedule, and your brain is conditioned to light up your pleasure centers when you're gambling and everything associated with it. The lights flashing, the sound, the smell in the casino, it gives you a feeling of well-being. So this isn't just something that willpower will take care of. You can't just say, well, I'm going to just knuckle down here, I'm going to bear down, I'm going to use my willpower, and I'm going to overcome this. You're in too far for that. It takes more than you just saying, I'm done, I'm going to gut up and overcome this. So if you really want to change it, and I'm asking you right now, do you really want to change this?
Yes, that's why I'm here. I want it to change. And I've tried to just stop and tried willpower and said, I'm not going. It lasts for a little while and then you're back in it.